The path is your own journey.
Right.
The initiate has to go on its own journey. And you can't take nothing with you. And you at the goddamn crossroads. And the crossroads is, are you ready to go to the next level?
Yeah.
Because guess what? I can't take you to the next level. Right? You got to make that decision.
All right, so we got to talk about what I like to call the Scottie Pippen effect. And I know everybody want to be like Mike. I know everybody want to be Jordan. Everybody want to have the recognition and the accolades and a legacy that surpasses their lifespan, right? But on a spiritual level, right, we got to understand the importance of being a Scottie Pippen. Ain't nothing wrong with being a Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan was once a Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan was once a person that wasn't the best player on his team or even in his family. Michael Jordan was a person that was once cut from his basketball team. But nobody never really talk about that part. We always glorify the accomplishments. We always glorify the stories and things that's been told, right? And I just want to put an emphasis on the importance of spiritually being in the space that Scottie Pippen was in to be who he was. Even though in present day, Scottie Pippen don't even feel content with the work that he put in now because he didn't allow the world to get into his mind and change his perception of what he accomplished or what he could have accomplished. So now he out here revamping the legacy of himself and Michael Jordan, and that's on him. He let the world outweigh him like that. That's on him. But we're going to talk about what space Scottie Pippen was in spiritually to endure being number two. And not only being number two, he actually took a lot less money, not only less money than Michael Jordan, but a lot of other players that in a league that was doing less than him. Like, he made very little money. He had a very small contract. And here's the thing about Scottie Pippen, for real. And this coming from somebody that I know basketball, live basketball. Like, that's my whole life. You know, that's been my whole life, the majority of my life, in some shape or form. Whether I'm teaching somebody about basketball, I'm watching basketball, or I'm playing basketball. And I got a love for the game that go past competition, go past accolades and validation. So understand this. At the time Scottie Pippen was playing, and even in these days right now, Scottie Pippen could have went on any other team or almost any other team at that time and been Michael Jordan. And got paid like Mike, almost got paid like to the caliber of a Michael Jordan. So it take a lot to play number two when you know you could play number one. It take a lot to be okay with the work that you've done, regardless of the lack of validation you receive from the external world. So now we live in a world, in a society, in a culture that only projects the Michael Jordan kind of persona. We don't lift up the Scottie Pippens. We don't lift up the number twos. We don't lift up the sidekicks. We don't lift up the crutches that hold up the GOATs. So we look at people like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. We overlook their coaches. Like, Mike Tyson had a hell of a coach. Mike Tyson wouldn't have really been who he was had it been for Customato. A lot of y'all need to go back and look at his philosophies and things like that. Like, he instilled a lot in Mike Tyson. But right now we're talking about Pippen. So let's just go back to the flu game, right? When Michael Jordan had the flu, that's one of the biggest parts of Michael Jordan legacy, just that one game. And a lot of the pictures you see, like you can see in the thumbnail of this podcast, you see Michael Jordan leaning on Scottie Pippen. You see a lot in the huddles, Michael Jordan specifically talking to Scottie Pippen. You see their coach, Phil Jackson, specifically talking to Scottie Pippen and leaning on Scottie Pippen for certain things that Michael Jordan, I'm not going to say that he wasn't able to do, but that just wasn't his seat at the table. Sometimes we got to learn what we capable of doing and what we bring to the table, and take a chair and pull up to the table with who we are and what we got, and be okay with that shit, right? So in the flu game, you see Michael Jordan leaning and falling and sweating and looking exhausted or whatever the case may be, but he's always turning to where he gained his strength from when he get weak. And that's Scottie Pippen. It take a lot to be the person that the strongest person turn to. It say a lot about you. When you that person that everybody call, when you that person that everybody lean on for emotional support. And here's the thing about Scottie Pippen. A lot of the things he did in basketball, a lot of the effects that he had on the game for his team, for the organization that he worked for and played for, are intangible, meaning you can't see them, meaning they don't show up on a scoreboard, they don't show up in the statistics. Yet they are valued by the team, they are valued by the family, and sometimes they do go unnoticed and they do go undervalued by the team and the family and shit like that. But it take a lot to learn to live with that. It take a lot to do all you could do and be the best number two you could be. Be the not even number two. Because it ain't really playing number two. It's really being strong in the area where you're called to be strong at, in the area where you're gifted at, in the area where you're just naturally like that at. So nobody know what it really takes to hold up and be a service to the player that's the strongest player. Meaning, it might be the person in your family that go through a lot of shit. It's people on the street that go through a lot of shit that you wind up talking to. You wind up being a crutch for them. It's a lot of times it be people that got way more than you materially, but they might lack spiritual substance, so they lean on you. And you can't put a price on that. You can't monetize that for real. So when I look at that flu game, I see that Michael Jordan had 38 points. I think he had about 10 rebounds. That's just regular Mike shit. And one of the best rebounders in that game, Dennis Rodman, another person that has a big effect on the game that don't show up on the stats, don't show up on the scoreboard. He only had like 8 rebounds that game. Scottie Pippen had 8 defensive rebounds and 2 offensive rebounds that game. He had, if I ain't mistaken, he had 17 points, 5 assists, 1 steal. So he's doing a little bit of Dennis Rodman job, and he's doing a little bit of Mike job. Mike had 38. He said, all right, I'll meet you halfway. I got 17. Dennis ain't rebounding so much tonight. This a game. This is a big game. This is a game 6. We need to win this game. I'm going to go out there and rebound. You not feeling good? I'm going to go guard the best player. And look, he only had 1 steal that game, but you don't know how many deflections he had. You don't know how much his presence bring to the game. Is intangible. Just his presence, just his aura, just him being on the floor, just him being in the game. Just the other team having to prepare for Scottie Pippen, because a lot of teams just say, fuck it, Mike gonna get 40, Mike gonna get 50, but what we need to do, we need to zero in and stop Scottie Pippen, because he's the glue. He's the dirt. He does the dirty work. He does the stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but still affects the game in so many different ways. And a lot of us are that person to our family. A lot of us are that person in the workplace. A lot of us are that person in our community, in our relationships and shit like that. And we have to learn to validate ourselves and learn to be able to live in contentment and satisfaction with or without the attention, with or without the likes and the comments and the outside external accolades. You feel me? Even though, like I said, they didn't trick Scottie Pippen in his own mind to this day. Now he going back and backtracking about who he was and switching it up and trying to reframe his legacy. But I'm looking at what he did at that time. What kind of spiritual space he had to be in at that time. Because, like, in my life personally, it's a lot of shit I got my hands on. It's a lot of things I'm a part of that's big. It's a lot of things that I have an effect on people for their whole life. I have so many people that come back to me 10 years, 15 years later, like, I never forgot when you said this one thing. Or I had somebody tell me, one of my close friends, yo, I went to jail for 3 years, and the only thing that got me through my bed was the things you taught me when I hung out with you. You just being there for me and being real and telling me the truth and not cutting through the bull, cutting it up and sugarcoating it. So people don't never know what type of spiritual effect that Scottie Pippen had on Michael Jordan. When I say spiritual, meaning reminding him of his greatness, reminding him of how dope he is, challenging him physically in practice and shit like that. Scottie wasn't no joke. Scottie could have went to any team and averaged 30 points, 35 points, had the same numbers Michael Jordan had. He might not have had the same brand. He might not have had the same commercial effect that Michael Jordan had, but he had a lot of the same physical capabilities. And it says a lot for a man to get underpaid, undervalued, and to still stay for the sake of the team, for the sake of the goal, for the sake of winning. We living in a world now where nobody wants to win unless they could be Michael Jordan. Nobody wants to be a part of nothing unless they name go on the marquee, unless they name go in the lights. Everything has to be documented. Everybody want a pat on the back. Everybody needs somebody to constantly push them and shit like that. Well, what do you say about the person that pushed themselves? Because like me, I'm a person that I never had a father. I never met him. I never used that shit as an excuse my whole life. I just took my licks and kept moving. So I'm really speaking to the people that actually been through some shit that a lot of people will never know, never see. But the effect that you have on other people's lives, the effect that you have across the board that might go unnoticed is priceless. But the world we living in a world where people could just easily devalue that and say, oh, if it wasn't for this, if we have Michael Jordan, we give all the attention to Michael Jordan. It's all about the Michael Jordans of the world. And it's like, nah, not really. Because let's look at Michael Jordan in a spiritual space, right? You could be Scottie Pippen, but still be Michael Jordan in a spiritual space that Michael Jordan was in. Follow me real quick. Be the Michael Jordan of being Scottie Pippen. Try to let that sink in. Be Scottie Pippen to the level of how Michael Jordan was. So we look at Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. Some people say LeBron, some people say Kobe. So take that spiritual space and be in that space, but be able to do it quiet. Be able to do it without the validation. Be able to do it without the pats on the back. Be able to do it if it go totally unnoticed. Because you ain't doing shit if you ain't doing it from your heart. You know what I mean? And I can't speak for Scottie Pippen, but for him to accomplish what he accomplished, because it's a big accomplishment to be overshadowed and undervalued by the whole world. The whole world just only looking at Michael Jordan like he the only player that was playing. And if you look at that flu game, only 3 people who was in double digits was Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Luke Longley. That's all they had at that time. Dennis Rodman had like 2 points. If y'all know basketball, y'all know Dennis Rodman wasn't really no scorer. And on that team, though, even though Dennis Rodman did have scoring ability and ball handling ability, that got slept on because a lot of shit get overshadowed by what the world want to see. How the world want to filter things out and perceive things. So if it don't look a certain way, then it don't get the same credit as the shiny thing or the trendy thing or the thing that everybody is attracted to or the thing that is popular. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan had a lot of charisma, yes. Michael Jordan had a lot of just that it factor, you know what I mean, off the court. And Scottie Pippen was more of a humble, just do the dirty work, behind his business type of person. So why we living in a world now that we allow to make us feel like we can't just be that? Why we just can't put the work in, put our head down and do it for the love of the game? I'm not saying you're not supposed to get paid. I'm not saying you're not supposed to get your fair share. I'm not saying you're not supposed to get noticed. But we have to get back to the reasons why we do shit. I feel like Scottie Pippen was trying to just win a game. He wasn't trying to be in competition with the big homie Mike. You know what I mean? Mike was Mike. It's only one Michael Jordan, but motherfucking it's only one Scottie Pippen. And I'm kind of mad he allowed the world to make him feel like he ain't do enough or he should have been seen in another way. Just be content with that. You created that space. Like anytime you look at a team, they got the bet. You look at a LeBron James, and LeBron need a sidekick, and that sidekick space really is a Pippen type of space. That's a hell of a space to be in. That's a hell of a responsibility, because your responsibilities a lot of times become more than the actual person that's on the brand, the person that faces in the thing. The things that you bring to the table a lot of times be really the real shit that really matter. Maybe he didn't even have a desire to get those accolades. I bet you he wanted that bread though. I bet you he wanted to get paid like how he played. And that's what happened a lot of times. A lot of times we be ahead of the curve, so we go undervalued. We gotta be okay with that. A lot of times we get underpaid because the world don't know how to put a price on us yet. They try to throw us in there with everybody else. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm not talking to everybody. This ain't for everybody. A lot of people just want to be Mike. That's it. If it ain't, and they suffer because if they can't be Mike, they don't want to be nothing. Or they the type of person that since they can't be Mike, they just want to hate on Mike. Spiritually speaking, they just want to be the thing that stopped Mike from being Mike. Fuck it. If I can't be Mike, you ain't gonna be Mike neither. If I can't be Nipsey Hussle, fuck it. Ain't gonna be no Nipsey Hussle. That kind of shit. So ain't nothing wrong with spiritually being. You might even want to be spiritually Pippen before you want to spiritually be Jordan. Because it take a grounded person to be consistent in that space and not receive your worth. So a lot of people walking around, and I done felt guilty to this and fell victim to this on my journey of, we all want validation. We all want feedback. We all want to know where we stand at in the eyes of others and things like that. We human. But that need to be a phase. That need to be something you get past. You need to be all right with being you. That's the whole point I'll be talking about anytime I come to speak. You ain't going to be winning nothing unless you all right being you, where you at. Show up as you are. Flaws and all. And showing up with your flaws, you're able to correct them. You're able to make them your strengths. You feel what I'm saying? And Pippen did that a lot for Mike. A lot of the things it's a lot of shit that Mike had flaws in. There's a lot of imbalances that Michael Jordan had that you will never see to this day because he had Scottie Pippen right there. And I know this from being in the space I sit at in my life. I've always been that person to help a person see a different perspective. Stay behind the scenes and really want to see them do well. Take the time out to do the shit that they don't want to do or they not able to do because they might be in that Michael Jordan space. They might be in a space where they can't do the tedious work or whatever the case may be, because if they do the tedious work, then they wouldn't be Michael Jordan. Not saying Michael Jordan ain't put in tedious work. I'm just saying in certain areas, it's for certain people. Everybody not built for the long journey. Everybody not built for the marathon. Everybody not built to go fall, jump on the floor and get their hands and their knees dirty. You know what I mean? So if Michael Jordan had to be Michael Jordan and do what Pippen did, then there wouldn't be no Michael Jordan. People need to understand that. So like I said, it's cool to want to be like Mike. But what you already good at? What make you you? Including your flaws, including what you feel are your weaknesses, including what you feel that you need to improve on. Can you show up with that today and be cool with that and just do the dirty work spiritually? And do the shit that's not going to show up on the scoreboard? Could you be okay being in the background while somebody else get all the credit for it? Knowing that you putting in the proper work, knowing that you putting in the grind, knowing that your heart in the right place, knowing that your intentions is right. Could you be okay constantly putting in work and not getting no accolades for it, no validation? Same shit I do here on YouTube. I'm not looking like, oh my God, I need 1,000 likes. Oh my God, you think I'm sitting talking for fucking likes? And I know YouTube is monetized now, so some people getting paid depending on how big their page is, and a lot of people switch up who they are depending on what they could get out the deal. But I don't get no bread off this shit. I don't get paid. I don't even like people like that. So it ain't like I need friends and no shit like that. I'm doing this because this is what the work I do. This is what feel right to me. This is what called to me. I know it's work. I know it's tedious because a lot of shit that go on behind the scenes before I even come to say anything. The things I have to feel and go through, and the journey I have to go on just to be in the space that I'm in to be speaking. So it's no external victory of like, oh, everybody's watching. I don't care about that. Even if my channel go crazy and hit 20 million people, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna be happy because just the fact that like, okay, more people is getting the message that they must want if this is what they listening to. But I don't come and speak and be like, all right, I'm about to say this so I could get this certain type of reaction, or I need my page to look like this or sound like somebody else's, or my shit need to be like how the world see it, how the world want it to look. I need to be embraced like the Michael Jordan of this shit. Now I could be the Scottie Pippen of it, or the Dennis Rodman of it, or the last player on the bench. Cool. As long as I'm fulfilling the space that I'm in the best of my ability, that's all I can ask for. What more validation do you need? How many pats on the shoulder do you need? The work that you put in and the results that you get and who it help you become and help you unbecome too, that's your reward right there. Now, when we talking money, get paid. You know what I'm saying? Go get paid. I'm just talking about from the heart, doing some shit you love, doing something you can't escape. Like, I can't escape doing this because this is who I am. Like, this is who I've always been. Way before YouTube or the internet ever existed, I've always been that person that people come to. Like how Michael Jordan in this picture is leaning on Scottie. You know, water seek its own level. So, you know, he knows that Scottie is somebody he could lean on. He looking at Scottie like, you might not be getting the accolades that I'm getting. You might not be in the spotlight as much as I am, but I know a real one when I see one. And anybody that ever played basketball know they need that person they could turn to. The rest of the team might not, look, we got to turn up, bro. It's time for us to take over. Me and you, Kobe and Shaq. So always it take two a lot of times. It really take a whole collective effort to do anything. But my point is this, you know, you ain't gonna get nowhere as yourself if being you is not enough. If you allow the world to trick you to think that what you bring to the table is not enough, then you'll never be enough, because you'll be always trying to fulfill some shoes that are not fitting for you. So you'll be trying to be Michael Jordan your whole life, and you'll never reach nowhere because you're just out of pocket, you out of bounds, you out of alignment. So I said all that to say, stay in alignment with who you are. You feel me? There's enough fake motherfuckers out here, and that's what makes a lot of people fake, just because they trying to occupy spaces spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, that they not truly in. And here, let me tell you this too. When we talk about manifestation and all this law of attraction shit like that, they never tell you that you got to be the energy to attract those things that you say you want. So a person that want to be a millionaire, they live like a millionaire with nothing. They live in abundance. They live in laughter. They live in just being engaged in what's in front of them, engaged in just them being them. So to you on the outside looking in, it might look like, damn, I want to be that. I'm going to just think myself and attract this to me. Now you got to be in that energy. I can't come and speak as nobody else. I got to do all the steps along the way. I have to go through. When I first started speaking on YouTube, it was like, damn, anxious, worry about people going to say, worry about if I'm doing it right and all that shit like that. That's just normal, but we got to learn how to get past that and shake that off and just be like, yo, this is what it is. This is who I am. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, click the fuck off. Like, what are you, a weirdo that want to listen to somebody that you don't like to hear what they saying? Like, I don't understand. Even though I know it's a few people that, it's always going to be people that you know that's going to come check your shit out just to boo it. Like, they're not even listening to you. They're not even trying to get an understanding of who you are. And that's the whole reason, too, of you validating that yourself. So, I go look at Scottie Pippen's stats. He got some good career stats. He averaged, say, like 16 points, like 6 rebounds and 5 assists. That's crazy. And that's playing with Michael Jordan. You take him at that time, like I said, to any other team, and he would have been the Michael Jordan of that team. But he must have been in a spiritual space where he said, nah, I'm satisfied with who I am, where I'm at, what I'm good at, and thriving in a space that I am in and that I could thrive in. Everybody swear they want to be the face of some shit. Everybody swear they want to be the brand. Everybody want to be the boss. But then when you look at when you get up close and you get the in-betweens, nobody really want to do the work. Spirituality is a trend now. Everybody want to be spiritual. Everybody want to talk about spirituality, but nobody want to really go through them dark ass moments, them uncertain moments, them scary ass, catastrophic life moments that change you forever, that you have to learn from to know some shit. The steps along the way you have to go through just to even build some form of conviction up, so when you talk or when you sing or do whatever it is that you do, you build that up by attacking your insecurities, by accepting your insecurities first and then working with them. That shit don't happen overnight. I remember I used to even come talk. It used to take me a minute to just get myself settled to even me stuttering right now, shit like that would have been like, let me start all over. Like now it's like I'm like Pippen. I like the spot I'm in. Fuck out of here. Ain't nobody about to trick me into feeling like you need to be Michael Jordan. Bitch, I am Michael Jordan in my mind. The fuck? I do shit how I do shit. That's the space we gotta be in. Ain't nobody gonna be able to do it for us, because even if somebody do give you some form of validation until you really feel like that is true within yourself, it'll never matter. It'll just be thanks. It'll actually point out the fact that you really truly don't feel like that. You know how many people get accolades and Grammys and shit that they don't deserve for songs that they didn't write, all kind of stuff. But you see him up there as the face and you looking like, I want to be that. Nah, you should want to be the person that in the spiritual realm, you real. In the spiritual realm, it matter. You know how many people that don't like me, that when I see them in the spiritual realm, they apologize. They spirit apologizing like, yo, I don't have nothing to do with that. I know that vessel trying to act like they hate you and shit like that and throwing shots at, they ain't got nothing to do with me. This motherfucking, spiritually bowing down to a motherfucker. We gotta learn to let people say what they gonna say about us. Think what they gonna think about us. Period. What you gonna go around trying to change everybody's perception and everybody's mind about how they feel about you? And that's why people do go crazy. That's how people lose their mind. That's why you have a Scottie Pippen in present date sitting up here actually rearranging and putting different thoughts and feelings about how his career transpired and taking shots at Michael Jordan and shit like that because he allowed people to tell him how to look at that shit. You know how many times you ever had a friend or a person you know one day y'all cool or whatever the case may be, then you kind of realize somebody and whispered in their ear some shit, now they treating you different and looking at you different and shit, like you gotta be alright with that too. I feel sorry for anybody that think I give a fuck what they think. That's crazy. I feel it's gonna be a long day, long night. If you got any feelings towards me, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm past that stage of the validation of needing support and all that shit. Fuck it. I'm Scottie Pippen. My shit ring out and show up good on the scoreboard and off the scoreboard. I'm good with the things that nobody sees. I'm good not making the highlight reel. And that's what we got to get to, a space where we good not making Sports Center, not making the highlight reel. Go look up some highlights. You're going to see a lot of Michael Jordan. You look at the Bulls highlights, Michael Jordan this, Michael Jordan that. And Pippen had to be all right. Like, damn, it's nice that Michael Jordan had 30 and Pippen had 32. And they didn't even show no highlights from Scottie Pippen. He had to be all right. But 32 was 32 points. We winning. I'm good with that. I ain't saying take whatever they give you, because now looking back in hindsight, it's like, damn, Scottie I ain't know that. Like, Scottie ain't really get paid what he was supposed to get paid, like what he was worth. Now he got, his livelihood is a certain type of way. So now you hear him reaching back and writing books and shit like that on his experiences. And that's what happened a lot of times. A lot of us didn't know how great we were. A lot of us didn't know our worth. So a lot of people got over and shit like that. You gotta be all right with that. You gotta let that go. And just keep being you in whatever space that you naturally want to explore. I don't want to be the Michael Jordan of talking. This is just me. This is what I do. This is where I'm from. This is what we do. We talk. We kick it. We build. You know what I mean? So this is who I am regardless. It's not like I'm a need to go viral or nothing like that. That's for this new age, new generation where everything is orchestrated and everything is premeditated. Like even dates, like people go out on dates and they already be having in their mind like what they gonna wear. They have in mind what the other person gonna do, how this shit gonna look, what kind of pictures they gonna take. Like this world is becoming to a point where it could drive you crazy and make you a maniac if you not spiritually grounded enough. You start looking around you at what everybody else doing the same, and they, people that's in the same lane as you start looking at what they do, and you like, I'm gonna start doing mine different or do mine like that. Nah, just trust you, trust being yourself. Don't let the world try to make you Michael Jordan. You know how many podcasts out here? You know how many people speaking on YouTube? You know how many people speaking about spirituality? I gotta talk what I know. Like right now, I do know basketball. It's easy as hell for me to talk about that. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of us that have gifts, rapping, singing, and some of our gifts ain't made for the world stage. We gotta be all right with that. Like this spiritual shit is dirty work. And when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about me talking about spirituality. I'm talking about actually being the spiritual being and knowing that shit and having to deal with life and seeing it from different perspectives and different dimensions, while still being in the third dimension and still living amongst everybody else that has not reached the depths of different dimensions and shit like that, they can only see shit at face value. Being able to just be cool with that. It ain't gotta be on it ain't gotta be Air Jordan. I don't want to have a pair of Creators District sneakers with my logo on it. I don't want that. You know what I mean? That's not the goal. I just been through a lot of shit. I seen a lot of shit. I felt a lot of shit. I seen a lot of people. I know people. I got a lot of stories to tell. I got a lot to say. I can't let the world trick me into thinking of, yo, how should I say it? Oh man, what this person going to do? I can't take all that into account. I'm gonna go crazy. It's gotta be me. If nobody ever noticed, I notice. It just be me. That's that. That's it. I ain't gonna question it. I ain't gonna compare it to the next person. I ain't gonna say, damn, I ain't know they was paying Michael Jordan more than me, so now now what I'm making ain't enough. Everybody so focused on the next person's plate. Everybody in secret competitions and things like that. And when we talk about spirituality, because like I said, it has become a trend so much that everybody is spiritual, even though we all spiritual beings though. So people getting confused and they think like, oh, I'm a spiritual person because I practice spiritual stuff. When on some real shit, the most spiritual people is just the most average people, regular people. Not really regular in no way in real life, but I'm just saying on the surface. Just normal people that you might be getting. The most spiritual person might be working at the post office handing you your mail. You will never know it. The real ones though. You could just feel the energy though. And being in that space of a Pippen, right? We gotta be careful because, like I said, they done tricked Scottie Pippen. Now he done allowed them to warp his mind to see his legacy different now, right? We gotta be careful because we got people that have come along and they know that we in a space where we ain't getting recognition, and they could try to play on that. Oh, you don't get no recognition, I'm gonna give you some recognition, and now you out here cooning and giving all your energy to those people, that person, that establishment, that whatever that is. You know what I mean? And not gaining your fulfillment from your being, from being you. I don't know how else to say this shit. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to say it. Ain't nothing wrong with being Pippen. How many Michael Jordans do you see in the NBA? How many Kobe Bryant? I'm talking about the potentiality. You don't see a whole bunch of, you ain't see another Kobe yet. You ain't seen another Mike yet. You haven't seen another LeBron. You haven't seen another Magic Johnson. You haven't seen another Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. And if you don't know basketball and you listening to this, just listen, take what I'm saying and exert your favorite rapper or your favorite singer on the highest level with the most accolades. Take them people and put them up there. And then you gonna always have people that didn't get the recognition, but their body of work is ridiculous. Their body of work speak for itself. Like even Nipsey Hussle, like Nipsey became big after he died. I actually happen to be a person that just actually happened to be a Nipsey Hussle fan almost from the moment he started putting music out, right? So I done went on a journey with Nipsey Hussle. So when I seen Nipsey finally coming out with an album, I'm just so happy that he even made it to a place where he's putting out music as an album, because he was only a mixtape rapper before that, right? But we could flash back to 2018. You could go look this up on YouTube when Nipsey Hussle performing. I think he was at, I don't know if it was Rolling Loud or Lapalooza, or one of them big events, but he performing in 2018 when Victory Lap was out. He performing on stage, he opening in the daytime. Nobody really even understand or know who he is. They didn't know his music. They was looking at him like they waiting for the next act to come on. He die, then he get deified. Then everybody start to see that his body of work was already there. So everybody had to go back and say, damn, you been talking that shit. You been saying quotable shit in interviews. You been that nigga. Now he dead and gone. He can't even really receive them accolades for real in the earthly way. And the way he died, that's why I always talk about it, is like because it was a person sitting next to him that couldn't be a Scottie Pippen, couldn't be a Steve Kerr, Luke Longley, the 12, it couldn't just be the 12th person on the bench and be happy with helping the team out towards the goal. And they wanted to be the star player too. A lot come with that shit. A lot come with always having your face out there and being seen. Y'all gonna learn to start being ninjas. Y'all gonna learn to start being incognito and do your dirt all by your lonely. I learned that too. I used to run with crowd. I used to have so many people with me when I go out. Everybody calling my phone in the morning. What we doing today, big bruh? Had people in the gym with me while I'm playing ball for real, while I'm obtaining scholarships and shit like that. They just around trying to get on. They just playing. They just doing it for fun. They doing it for the women. They doing it for the attention. So like I said, they call my phone 9:30 in the morning, like we going to the gym. I'm like, I already been at the gym for 3 hours. What are you talking about? I do this. With or without the accolades. With or without the Michael Jordan status. So when we talking about spirituality, and we always talking about spirituality when I'm talking, we talking about being able to be fulfilled and satisfied with the space you are in. Find some satisfaction in the space you in, no matter what it is. And I got a million stories. I'm gonna save them for the next time. But I didn't like. Let me tell you, the universe wants to see what you're gonna do with less first. I want to give you a little bit and say do more with that. So I come from, even though poverty ain't really real, this engineered and shit like that. That's another journey. But and we can get into some shit like that too later down the line. But poverty is a mentality. And let me just jump on that real quick. Poverty is a mentality. How do I know poverty is a mentality? Because there's a certain point in my life I had to jump out of survival mode, and it was very hard to get out of the survival mode, to get out of worrying if this gonna be the last thing, or if I spend $1, I got one less dollar. And trust me, it's people like, I know people personally that got money, that got good things going on for themselves, and every time they reach one level, they always feel like they still deal with a poverty mindset, a lack mindset, and they create more of that shit. Because like I said, the universe and God gonna give you what you radiate out. So if you feel like you need money, then the universe is gonna say, oh shit, you that's what you want. You want to keep feeling like you need money. And this is why a lot of people can't look at Scottie Pippen and say, how could you be all right just being Scottie? You don't even want to be Mike. You know how many I done worked in a drive-through. I done been in spaces that people from where I'm from might look at it and be like, not you, that ain't no space you need to be in. I know you used to be doing this and used to be obtaining this type of shit like that. Like, nah, this is a different challenge for me on a spiritual level. This is humbling. This is bringing me closer to humility, where I need to be at. Not in a space of where I'm, like I said, got 13 people with me. I'm paying for everybody food, shit like that. Everybody is cool. I'm the face of the group, you know what I mean? I'm the big dog, I'm the leader and all that shit, but it costs to be the boss. You'll wind up trying to just uphold that. You'll wind up carrying a lot of dead weight. So a lot of people thinking spirituality is about obtaining more, and that's an ego thing. In the spiritual space, in the soul space, you truly want to become obscure, unseen, go over people's heads so that motherfuckers could overlook you too. Ain't nothing like a person overlooking you and then later on they gotta look back and be like, damn. Or they never seen, they gotta look back and see your whole catalog like, you been that. You ain't just become that today. You've been the shit. Like I said about Nipsey, he been the shit. Scottie Pippen, he been the shit. And it's just about validating yourself. Period. There's so many things that had, cause like check this out, right? We in a world now where everything, if it don't make the highlight reel, it never happens. So if I don't put my life on Instagram on a day-to-day basis and show y'all what I eat every day and post, then it's like people look at your life like, damn, your life must be lame and never nothing going on over there. But I promise you, there's so much delicious stuff happening in my life on a day-to-day basis, even on the most mundane level, that pulling out a camera and recording it or taking a picture would actually take away from the moment. So yo, you could orchestrate your highlight reel and your Instagram and make it look all good and your high points and all that shit, and never give off no real game, never show nobody your vulnerability and things like that if you want to. And you'll wind up ending up in a space you thought you wanted to be in that your ass don't want to be in. You'll wind up ending up in a space like LeBron James. Like, now I know that's the space he wanted to be in because he's one of the greatest players ever, arguably the greatest. But he take a lot of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual attacks, period, on his name all day, all summer, whether he win or lose. It's always, oh, he coulda, shoulda, woulda, did this, that, and the third. So should he not enjoy his career? Should he not enjoy who he is because the general public say this, that, and the third, because his family think this, that, and the third? You must be crazy. And the world is like that. The world done lost their mind. The world really feel like if you ain't posted, it ain't happen. The world feel like you only could be happy if you obtain these certain things. And it's cool. I could have those things and not have those things and be happy. That's the difference. I'm cool with being Pippen. I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world, you know? So I could have the same thing. A person got a Ferrari and all that kind of shit like that, and I can enjoy it, and other people might not be able to do that. They'll just be having it for show. They'll just have a Ferrari to see everybody's reaction. I'll be the person that's driving a Ferrari and don't give two shits about the validation of driving a Ferrari, but I'm just actually getting the real enjoyment out of actually driving a Ferrari. Just, you know what I mean? Because I understand this too. Ain't no difference between one car and another car. I'm going to get what I'm going to get regardless. We all got to travel on the same roads. It's not like you go buy a Lamborghini and they got roads just for Lamborghinis. Like, okay, only people that drive Lamborghinis get on this road, and this road gets you there faster, and no other people that got Hondas and stuff can't go on there. Like, that's how crazy the mentality of the society we live in got people thinking. So you might be sleeping on yourself. You might be doing some of the dopest shit in the world, and just because you ain't getting noticed or you ain't hit the algorithm yet or whatever the case may be, you feeling like your shit ain't shit. You feeling like you should stop your dream or whatever the case may be. You feel like something wrong with you. You feel like you need to stop being you. And now you living through discontentment. You living through dissatisfaction. And the universe and God saying, okay, that's how you want to be. I'll keep giving you more of that because you're a human being. So look at Scottie Pippen then and look at Scottie Pippen now. And I'm not saying he was completely happy when he was with the Bulls playing back in the day, but he was winning, he was making money, he was traveling. He got a certain amount of accolades, but most importantly, he won 6 championships. He went to 6 championships and he won all of them. He got 100% championship win rate. He a legend, Hall of Famer. Arguably the best sidekick player in the world. In my eyes, he is. I could. It's arguable though. You know what I mean? But he enjoyed that space when he was in it, and like I said, now like you got to be careful of allowing people to come in and changing your perception on you, changing your perception on your work, because now you'll look back at the work you did and look back at it and feel like it ain't shit. And because you start to feel like it ain't shit, you start to produce ain't shit work, because that's the space you actually occupying spiritually. So I said all this shit to say, find some contentment and find some satisfaction in the space you in, no matter what you have or don't have. enjoy that space, have gratitude for that space, and the only thing the universe and God gonna do is make that space a home for you. Because everything I talk about when I come out and talk is about shit I've been through, shit I know, shit that actually hurt my feelings, good things I've seen. You know what I mean? I'm just giving insight from the spaces I've been in. You think, let's just talk about God, right? Let's just talk about the universe as if God was a person. You think God gonna look down and say, oh, I put you in this position for you to learn in, and then you shunned it and said it's the worst fucked up situation in the world and you didn't learn from it? Well, let me give you some more of that until you realize you're supposed to learn first. Until you realize you're supposed to embrace the space that you in. And then I'll put you on a stage. I'll make you the king of that space. Like 50 Cent. He got shot 9 times, and that was his whole rap sheet. Yo, I got shot 9 times, yo. I got shot 9 times. I came back, get rich or die trying. You feel me? That was his claim to fame. That was his claim to stardom. The worst shit in his life, that at that time when it happened, I bet you he was like, he wasn't rapping about, oh man, these 9 bullets feel good. But as time went on, he started to look at it as a blessing. And because he looked at it as a blessing, guess what happened? It became the biggest blessing to him and everybody around him life. You think Tony Yayo and Lloyd Banks ain't looking at 50 like, man, thanks for taking them 9 bullets, man, because them shits inspired you to be who you are, and it wouldn't be no G-Unit, and we wouldn't be millionaires, and we wouldn't be legends if it wasn't for you. So be careful about devaluing the space that you in and devaluing who you are now and thinking that it's a space out here that you need to be in that you're not in, because all that do is radiate discontentment, dissatisfaction, and it adds to depression, confusion, and numbness. You feel what I'm saying? And it stop you from being the best you that you could be. God be okay with being Pippen.